Radio on this Wednesday afternoon. Brigham Young Director of Athletics Tom Holmoe joins us. Craig, Paul, and I'm David Smoak. Tom, thank you. We've had you on before, back when a lot of the news came down in the fall of 2021. I have seen, we've had Greg Wrubell, we've had others who have come on to discuss the countdown to Midnight Friday. What has it meant to the campus in Brigham Young?
Well, I think it would be like all the schools that have the opportunity to come in on July 1st to be official members of the Big 12. That is something that you've dreamed about. We spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for decades trying to make this day come to fruition, and now it's here. I think that's an interesting little perspective because there's been a lot of preparation for the last year and a half since we got the invitation, but now it's real. So after the celebration on the July 1st, reality hits and you got to start playing.
How much longer would you have wanted to sustain being an independent if you had to do it?
It was getting tougher and tougher. We went and we became an independent because we felt that where we were in the conference, we were kind of closed off at the TV deal. BYU TV and BYU Broadcasting has a great reach that reaches tens of millions, even over like 800 cable stations, and all through the other streaming lines. We had alumni all over the country, and they couldn't see us play. So it was either get into a P5 conference that was going to have a TV contract that would make us accessible or not be seen. And so we just feared that we would become irrelevant, not being seen on TV. And so we had to make a decision. Are we going to go independent? Are we going to go try to force P5? So we did everything in our power. Going independent, we felt would give us the opportunity to take a few years to build up strength, to be seen, and make a name for ourselves. We felt we'd gained some strength, but we didn't get into a league. And so it was kind of a little bit of a difficult situation, thinking this isn't like what we intended to be in Notre Dame, where you were going to be an independent for the rest of your life. And as it turned out, through the years, we had to gain some strength in our sports and had a lot of great players and coaches that helped build our brand. And sure enough, the Big 12 came knocking. That was a great time for us.
We've asked you about the reaction back in the fall of 2021 when we had you on and just did earlier to start this segment. But can you share what that conversation was like? Because Texas, Oklahoma happened, I think, in July of 2021. And by pretty much September, everything was pretty much T's crossed and dotted the I's with the four incoming teams. What was that like, if you could kind of recall that timeline? How quickly did you reach out to Bob Bowlesby, or did he reach out to you?
Well, it happened rather fast, and I think it's explainable as in 2016, the Big 12 put out an RFP saying, hey, if you're interested in joining the conference, put in your resume. And obviously there were a handful of teams that they felt had a respectable chance of making that happen. We were one of them. We went down and we put a great amount of work into our presentation, and it wasn't just a sales job. We had great data and great facts that showed what we were. I think that when we brought our coaches down, some of the coaches, and our key administrator and our president, I think we made a really strong impression. I don't think at the time the Big 12 really understood some of the demographics and the reach that we had. So when Bob Bowlesby called up and said, hey, look, we really appreciate the effort that you made. You gave a great impression, but the Big 12 has decided that we're not going to expand. So now you fast forward to when Oklahoma and Texas leave. I think pretty much they had already done the work. I don't think we had to really do another dog and pony show to show them, hey, we're still there. I think they realized that. Bob and I had a kind of brief conversations, and before too long, I'm saying a matter of a couple days, we were ready to go and had that invitation.
When you got off the phone or whatever that would be, do you have the president on the hotline or Kalani Sitake? Yeah.
I mean, literally, we had been through that a lot. So every strategic move that we made for a number of years was with this in mind. And so, who we hired, who we recruited, our brand, the way our tried to get exposure and accessibility, the teams we played, where we played, the games we took. So we made some crazy decisions, and they were all for one purpose, and that was to be able to gain that exposure. We want to represent BYU and our sponsors, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We felt that that's what we wanted. That's been our goal. That's been our dream. And so it wasn't like it was a surprise. We had some downs during that period of time of independence.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't great through that entire time. And so it was a little nerve-wracking, and there's some anxiety along the line. But by the time that when this came, I think we were at a really good spot. The stars were aligned, and it happened pretty fast.
Tom, when you look at what you mentioned as an independent, Notre Dame also is kind of been the, I don't know if the right word is beacon of what they're able to do, but how difficult, you mentioned just getting the games where your alums could watch the games in various parts. How hard would it be? We had this debate kind of in our chat room during the show. For someone like is one of the ultimate brand names like a Texas or Ohio State, would it be a lot more difficult than the fan base or even those at those schools would understand?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, those are schools that are locked and loaded for conferences forever. I mean, if they wanted to go independent, they could, but they wouldn't want to do it. But I think that those schools, a lot of people just don't get it. Why would you do that? And you look at Notre Dame, and you look at Army and Navy, who for many, many years were independent before the American Navy. And those are national schools with extraordinarily unique situations. BYU, we never looked at ourselves as a Notre Dame. But if you think about it, you can go back, David, through the years, and Penn State had a little bit of a time period where they're an independent. Florida State was an independent for a little bit of period of time. You look right now, and there's a couple teams that are independent because they're using it as like a transitory time period because they don't really fit right now in the league. And if you're looking at the blue bloods, so to speak, of Ohio State or Alabama or Texas, those are not schools that need to really go out searching and putting up their we'll work for food signs. And they're established. They don't need it. We needed it.
Well, and Tom, the argument, you guys are the most closely similar to Notre Dame in that you have, recruiters in every town, so to speak, as far as the church goes and all of that. But even you, like you've just gone through this, all how hard it is. Notre Dame built this over 100 years of
right.
being independent. You guys did it because you had to, not because you wanted to.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. And we really looked at doing this for a period of about 4 or 5 years. We worked really closely with our conference just to say we entered into this deal, and the agreement and the partnership was we were going to be able to use the technology and the resources that we had with BYU TV to gain that exposure and all that we needed in accessibility. And it just wasn't happening. And we kept coming back saying, this is not what we agreed to. We tried everything we could to make it work, and it didn't work. And so that was really either be caught in a position where you're under a cloth or get out in the open and try to make it on your own.
Tom, when that inaugural Big 12 schedule dropped, I guess everybody's kind of probably looks for different things initially. It's like, what are the road games? What were your thoughts and kind of where did you look first when it came to that initial Big 12 football schedule?
That's a good question because I think more people have asked me that question than anything else. And my reaction is a little bit strange. It might not be the same as Coach Tatake, our football coach, but I mean, I'm looking at it after talking with the athletic directors that are in the Big 12 and the 4 coming in. We all had these conversations, and there was such a uniqueness about the timing of who's in and who's out, and when they're coming and when they're going, that this first year or two, I mean, who are you going to know who's going to be great and who's not, and which trips are tough or not? I think that when it came out, I said, we have a Big 12 schedule. Let's go. I didn't really try to look at where we were going or who we were playing. And I've looked at it a lot since, and there's a couple rough patches, but who are we to complain? Mm-hmm. I just feel like we have a schedule. If we can play well through this schedule, we're going to be rewarded. And I feel like in time, there may be some little idiosyncrasies in the schedule where you figure out, like, this doesn't work playing these games back-to-back with road trips. I don't think anybody can actually say that right now. You might be able to anticipate that they're going to be tough, but until you get through it for a couple of years, I think I'm going to keep my mouth shut and just play.
I love that attitude, by the way. That's fantastic, rather than looking at the little things. So you played there. You're a former Brigham Young player, hell of a player, and then obviously your NFL career with the 49ers. When players like yourself, those who helped build Brigham Young, whether it's Jim McMahon or Gifford Nielsen or Steve Young or Ty Detmer, among many others, and I mentioned the quarterbacks, what does this mean to them?
Well, it's another great question, because, so many people in Provo, I'm at the grocery store, people come up and say, thanks, Tom, for getting us into the Big 12. That is so far from what happened. What happened is we had a legendary coach, Lavelle Edwards. He had some legendary players, a number of college football Hall of Fame players who really built the BYU football brand. And that started close to 50 years ago. And for 50 years, the BYU brand has slowly but steadily continued to grow. I think a stat that people don't really realize, I think after this year, we're number 8 in the last 40 years of wins in college football. And people don't really realize that, but that's stability. And even though in the last 10 years, there's been a few years in there that have been somewhat subpar for BYU, this didn't start 5 years ago. This started 50 years ago. And it worked just fine for about 20 years. But about the last 30 years, it's been very difficult. And now that with what college football is and the landscape and the changes and the transitions and the new rules and the new conferences and everything, it's such a herky-jerky movement, you really have to try to find it. We found it right now. It looks like it all happened right now, but this has been going on for 50 years.
I like to do this when we have guests on, and on your Wikipedia page, it does jump out to me that you coached Deion Sanders in 1994 when he was with the 49ers. If I had told you in 1994 that one day Deion Sanders would be a head coach in college football and the most maybe exciting rollout for a college football coach ever, what would you have said?
I'm going to say if you told me in 94, I would say you're crazy. But in hindsight, I look back and it makes perfect sense to me. I'm a huge Deion fan. He's a dear friend of mine. I think that Deion has two personas. He's got this one persona, which is Prime, and everybody knows Prime. But the other side was very private. He's super intelligent. He's super strategic. He's a great relationship guy. And, like, as I see it now, I'm like, okay, all right, I see what's going. And I wish him so much luck. I think that what he's done has been amazing. And some people are going, I would never in a million years do it that way. But that's Prime. He's doing it his way. I've never, ever seen him do it any other way than his way. But all I know for him of the last since 94, he's pretty darn successful. Doing it his way.
Yeah, he has been. Tom, one more question, and we do appreciate your time. And it's been an incredible week. I know not just week, but the countdown in Provo and for Brigham Young. You are coming in along with 3 others. It's going to be official on midnight. How much are you paying attention to the landscape of what might be happening with another conference that might end up leading to more news in the Big 12 or elsewhere? And maybe no news, maybe nothing changes, but how much is that even on your radar?
Well, it's on my radar a lot because it's super important. It's important to the Big 12. And in the Big 12, right now, going forward, we have 12 teams that are really super interested in this season that starts right around the corner. But we all, the athletic directors, have a responsibility to care for the future. We make sure that we make the right decisions with our presidents and our boards to put our schools, the members, in the right position. So this is super important to us. And it doesn't, I don't really read every article. I think that there's a lot of flash, and I read some stuff early on, and then I realized, you know what? When this changes, and we get plenty of updates, but when the changes occur, or if they don't, regardless of what happens, the Big 12 will be ready to go. I know that. I know the partners. I know the legacy guys that are carrying legacy teams are carrying over, and I know the 3 schools coming in. Those 3 schools coming in, we played them a lot as an independent. So they're super good partners in the Big 12, and I think all of us are just saying, let's play some ball. We're tired of all this. Let's play some ball.
And that's coming from a former football player and a darn good one as well, and a heck of an AD. Tom, thank you very much for your time. Can't wait to see you. Shake your hand here someday soon. Will you be in Arlington at Media Days, or is that going to be something?
I will be there.
All right. Can't wait to see you. We'll be there, too. Thank you.
Come say hello.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it.
Tom Holmoe, the AD, Director of Athletics at Brigham Young. We have heard from all of them. Some